Okay, welcome everyone to the webinar, Turnkey Appliance for Citrix Desktop Virtualization. This webinar is for channel partners or potential channel partners for this offering. And my name is Andrei Zunev. I'm the CTO with Maximum Bid. And we'll be happy to share with you an overview, provide you an overview about Desktop 365 appliance offering, and discuss how channel partners can take advantage of this offering and bring it to their customers. This presentation is relatively short, about 10 slides, and then I'm planning to do two demos, one demonstration of the setup wizard of automated installation of the appliance, and then a demo of the administration portal, kind of simplified administration of the appliance as well after it's deployed. There is an application store demo there as well. So we'll probably spend about 20 minutes on the presentation, about 20 minutes demonstration itself, and I'll try to reserve about 20 minutes for Q&A. So please feel free to submit questions as we progress through this presentation. Okay, so what is Desktop 365 offering, appliance offering about? All of us know that Citrix is deployed in a project, on a project basis, and most of those deployments today are done as a custom implementation. Now, many of us are familiar with the challenges that we face and the troubleshooting time that is required, as well as the architecture design phases often take a substantial amount of time, especially for mid-size and larger environments. But even small environments often require a similar amount of effort as larger implementations as well. So now there is another option on the market of using Desktop 365 appliance as a turnkey solution for Citrix Desktop Virtualization, pre-architected, automated implementation, as well as well-defined support processes and tools. So obviously this may be not for every customer. I mean, some customers are heavily involved in architecture decisions, and they may come to you as their IT service provider and say, okay, I just need you to come in and install Citrix. This is my hardware. This is sort of my software licensing. Go do it. There is another set of customers who rely on you as their IT services advisors, consultants, and they come to you and say, what would be the best practice Citrix implementation, something that will give me great virtual desktop performance, something that you can implement on the quickest path, and something that's easier for me to manage going forward. In those cases, each of you as a partner will have your own best practice reference architecture, and you can proceed with that. Now we're offering you one more alternative. Use Desktop 365 appliance architecture and solution for a turnkey deployment of Citrix Desktop Virtualization. And there is a set of benefits of using this model, as we have seen by working with a set of partners on the market. So I will go now into the next level of detail. So what does it really mean? I mean, the essence is that Desktop 365 appliance is now like a product. It's not something that needs to be custom designed, thought through, tested, and somewhere it doesn't work. It is a product. And the whole process of engagement is pretty different than custom implementation. So let's say a customer needs to implement Desktop Virtualization and contacts you as a partner. in about 1 hour call, I mean, in reality, maybe you will need a couple calls, but you will be able to pretty quickly understand the desktop virtualization requirements. Is it Zen app? Is it Zen desktop, persistent desktop, non-persistent desktops? We have templates to collect that information that we can share as well. And then based on that information, you can very easily convert this into a specified appliance configuration in terms of hardware and licensing required, which is mostly linked to number of users and maybe number of appliance nodes or servers in this deployment. This is literally a couple-minute exercise then to convert requirements into appliance configuration. And then you can provide a fixed fee quote to the customer. Customer orders the appliance and related software licensing. Now, this solution is pretty flexible. Some customers may want to buy licensing directly, especially larger ones. The mid-size customers will rely on you to resell software licensing and bring Microsoft and Citrix licensing as part of this solution. And then customer receives this appliance in their data centers, the hardware, and installs it in the rack and connects to the network. So that's where the accelerated deployment really begins. A partner runs a setup wizard that I will be demonstrating later today for automated deployment of Citrix desktop virtualization in integration with Active Directory. So this really, in a matter of 60 to 90 minutes, on the top of hypervisor, the whole Citrix farm is built, and one of the options is integration with existing Active Directory. There is an option, obviously, to build a new one. And so the beauty is that after the setup wizard completes, it is a fully working environment. It has wallpapers, it has certain group policies, and it has a couple desktops configured. You can log in and launch them. So it's a really working environment. From there, it's really just expanding number of images and adding users with a couple mouse clicks. And so that's the next step. Yes, there may be a couple more images as derivative of the provided OS image that need to be created. And a couple apps installed. As you know, it's a matter of a couple hours. Those will be added to the library and can be assigned to users, and then the users instantly get them. Overall, this process, let's say, from the time the hardware is received and installed in a data center, goes into user acceptance in a matter of 1 to 2 weeks. Again, if it's a mid-sized deployment, and small deployments, it may run shorter. And then obviously the customer goes through a certain learning curve for this, so you may reserve 1 or 2 weeks for user acceptance testing. This time is taken for integration of this appliance, maybe with backup and operational processes. So overall, in a matter of 4 weeks, this would go into production and the customer will start using it. Which is, again, relatively fast as compared to traditional ways where people often get stuck troubleshooting one or the other aspect. This system is already tested and proven in production with multiple customers. So now the appliance as such is really a bundle of multiple things. So it includes appliance nodes, which are rack servers, and I'll share more details on the following slides. There is a virtualization layer, and these first 2 layers essentially build a simplified hyperconverged system. So it does not require centralized storage. Storage is on each individual node. And this hyperconverged system also brings extreme IOPS performance. I'll talk about it a little bit later. Then there is a software stack, typical Microsoft Citrix stack. And then Desktop 365 automation, the software developed by Maximum Bit and added here. I mean, you can look at it as a wrapper software. Because we are not altering the Citrix stack as such, rather we are enabling accelerated deployment, automated deployment, and we're enabling also simplified management of this environment. After the Citrix farm is deployed, you pretty much don't really need to go to Citrix console. You can do most of the activities through the portal that's provided here. And then installation and integration services, you can, as a partner, you can package as a fixed fee deployment because you know exactly what's the scope, and here and there you may tweak it a little bit, but you have a great and clear base of what to start with. There might be obviously additional application installation, image management services that can be added to the bundle. But overall, you have a pretty good clarity about the cost of all components. You can provide a turnkey quote to your customers in a matter of hours. And by the way, this solution is Citrix ready, so went through all the cycles required with Citrix Teams review and testing this offering. Now, from the end-to-end view, this is just next level of detail. The appliance nodes are, as I said, typically rack servers. Typically, we'll start with 2 for redundancy. Then virtualization layer is using Windows Server with Hyper-V, as well as Data Course and Symfony software, one of the leading software-defined storage products on the market. That brings us immense IOPS performance. Assembler product is from Desktop 365 is used for automated deployment of the virtualization layer. And then comes then on the top of hypervisor the software stack, standard sort of Citrix NetScaler, XenDesktop, XenApp. Currently we're using 7.6 as a production version. Typically we're sort of on N-1. So that we have a stable upfront product, and then Microsoft SQL Server, Active Directory, DFS, and then Windows Server, Windows Desktop OS as base images for the worker VMs. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, this system can be integrated with existing Active Directory. And while we're putting a VM or multiple VMs for file shares, the folders and the user data can be redirected to existing file shares as well. And then Desktop 365 automation also includes Setup Wizard for automated deployment of this environment, and then a portal that has sort of administration function for IT administrators and application store function for business users. Here is a slide about the hardware options. I mean, pretty wide range from literally 5 users to 5,000 users. We've kind of configured these options with an increment of about 20% in compute capacity. So it's pretty much covers end-to-end while the increment is sort of reasonable. And then the smaller appliances like the X100 based on Intel NUC. These are really small devices. The 101 maybe can be used as a demo devices that we use ourselves. 102 can be put in production. I mean, small offices up to 10 users can easily be covered with such tiny devices. And then 25 users, maybe 50 to 75 users. At that point, you may start going into the rack. And then the most commonly used 100 to 300 user configuration of DX400 is a 2U rack server as one appliance node. And depending on the CPU selection, then it will one server will host 100 or maybe up to 300 users. And then DX500 is a combination of multiple rack servers in a rack that can scale easily to about 5,000 users. Now, from Desktop 365 team, we are providing this hardware based on this specification. It's Supermicro based. But at the same time, we're supporting multiple major OEMs such as Dell, Cisco, HP. There is a bill of material that we can provide for those manufacturers, and if you have strong relationships and decent discounts, you can proceed that route without any problem. Obviously, you can get a quote from us for hardware, and that should be pretty reasonable, especially for smaller deployments. So it's a cost-efficient hardware can be provided from Desktop 365 as well. Now, next slide is a high-level overview about the hyperconverged system architecture. The beauty here is that with two nodes, we are creating redundancy at the storage level, so it's like two storage nodes, and they are mirrored, so each node has exactly the same data. And then on the top of it, we're setting up Windows failover clustering and using cluster shared volume so that the same two nodes are also in a cluster, and if one node goes down, VMs can move to another node in an automated way. And then from two nodes, you can expand this cluster to more nodes with or without storage. So normally, obviously, you will add nodes, individual nodes with storage, and then expand this system. The data core software-defined storage was selected because of a number of considerations. A number of them are described in a technical brief that's available on the website. In more detail, there is a whole page about that, as well as performance. But in brief, this software has in-memory cache. But the unique part is that this memory cache is used not only for caching reads, but also for caching writes. And the hypervisor gets a confirmation from data core that the block is written as soon as that block is in memory cache. So we're not waiting until that block persists on a SSD or hard disk, and hence hypervisor sees it as in memory speed storage with associated performance improvements. And so really, this, as you well know, the memory is about 10 times faster than SSDs. So the storage provided here has extremely high IOPS metrics, and we literally eliminated any problems related to performance that come from storage IOPS available. Now, the Desktop 365 automation conceptually is two things, but these two things are bundled together and integrated. It's a workspace management, in other words, sort of an application store, something that business users can use. We support two roles, a user and a kind of manager or business admin. So users can add, remove users on their own, and they can also subscribe to applications and desktops on their own without contacting IT, which reduces an IT overhead. And then the other components, like Setup Wizard Administration Portal, are really automating the whole IT lifecycle management from installation to administration and certain support functions. Now, both of them are integrated in one portal, which enables even better automation of end-to-end workflows. Now, we're getting kind of into the demo part of this presentation and webinar. These are just a couple introductory slides to the Setup Wizard before I jump into the demo. As an input for the Setup Wizard, we're providing an installation package. It has a Setup Wizard MSI, so you can easily install it on your workstation or laptop. We are providing a configuration file. It's an XML file with pretty much all configuration settings of this environment. Setup Wizard is using a plain Windows Server 2012 VM and installs all the components on the top as well as configures those all in an automated way. And so OS images, base OS images for Windows Server 2012 and Windows 8 are part of the package. Obviously, Windows 10 we're adding as well. Now, the setup wizard, what you will see in the demo, has sort of two parts. One is you would need to provide some custom settings specific to that deployment, such as license files, domains, and domain and OU information, passwords, IP addresses, Netscaler certificate, and a couple of URLs like storefront, for example. Obviously, this is unique for that environment. All other settings are in the config file and don't need to be really modified, but can be modified if needed. So you can go into config file and edit it as well. And then deploy the environment runs, I mean, right now it will take about 90 minutes for production level deployment. And this environment is operational right after it's completed. So for demo purposes, what you will see is me using a laptop as a workstation with a setup wizard connected to a router, and then we have one Intel NAC here as a demo device on which we will be doing this deployment. So let me get out of the presentation and then switch to the setup wizard demo. So this is the first screen of the setup wizard. We need to accept the terms and conditions and then click next. Now, for the purposes of the demo, I have selected a configuration file that has been saved from the previous deployment. So that way I don't need to enter the data in front of you and we can move a little bit faster. Now, this is a Hyper-V based deployment. Standalone means that it's kind of is not doing any Active Directory integration here for the demo purposes, but it's possible. And then we are providing a directory, essentially location of the base OS images where they're stored in the images folder. Next, we need to connect to the appliance. This is done by IP address, so this is a simple form. You just provide an IP address and password of the hypervisor. Okay. And then click OK. And so here it just added one more appliance. So let me remove one. So you can add remove appliances here relatively simply. So now we know where our appliance is, and then we proceed to the next step. The setup wizard now validates this appliance, and right now it kind of passed that step, so everything is fine. The hypervisor is available. If it finds some VMs, it will bring this up to your notice. If it also validates that the hardware has enough compute capacity to deploy what's going to be deployed. Here, this screen is where you provide licensing information for Desktop 365 license, Netscaler license, and then Desktop. A number of other licenses like Microsoft, Windows, and SQL can be provided later in the environment. The deployment will start with evaluation licenses. Here in this deployment, we're setting up a new Active Directory, and this is the domain configuration. In AD, we need two organization units, root OU and computer OU. That's all for alignment of group policies at the user level and device level. Then 3 roles need to be provided, sort of local admin, obviously, for Windows, service account, and then first business user role as a business admin, we call it, and then the password information. And then a few more screens. Here we're providing Netscaler IP, gateway IP address, Netscaler certificate, and the password. And then this is the really last screen where you provide the IP address for the administration portal, and we're using the same here for the storefront. And then there is an IP address for NetScaler gateway. And this is the last screen. So I click Save, and then this file is saved, so that any manual sort of settings that I entered are saved. And then you click Next, and then it will run for about sort of 90 minutes and build a new deployment. I have here RDP connection to the appliance. So what you see here in Hyper-V Manager, that NetScaler VM popped up, and now Active Directory VM. And so then additional VMs will be added and configured as part of this process. So now we will switch to the, while this is running, I'll keep it running. We can switch to the demonstration of the administration portal. Here's a quick intro. So what I will demo, I'll demo an application store functionality that has user management, subscription management, and then the same portal also acts as administration portal for environment management, such as Citrix Farm, and then image management as well, and abstracts sort of a number of functions from Zen Desktop Studio. Okay, so the demo of the portal we will do from our data center. It's a demo environment. I will log in as a demo admin. And what you see in the middle is a sort of Citrix web interface functionality. Now, keep in mind that storefront is deployed as well and can be used in parallel. So users in reality have now two ways to access applications and desktops through a storefront URL, or through this portal, Cloud Desktop 365. They can, as a user, log in and launch their applications, or they can launch their desktops as well. Now, what you see on the top here, this menu bar, is the .NET application developed by Desktop 365 team. And the first part up to admin is what we call application store. So there are two roles, a user and an admin here. Logically, a company will have sort of multiple departments. For us, a department is an organization, and organization is a group of users. Within that group of users, one or more users can have admin rights, and as soon as the user is an admin, that user can manage users and subscriptions within that organization on their own without contacting IT. So first, let's see what the user can do. Obviously, user can launch these apps, desktops, but the user also has a library here. And to just keep it simple, I'll go and unsubscribe from Chrome. I'll go and unsubscribe from Excel, and we'll unsubscribe from Paint. Going back, you see that these applications disappeared. Now, the process of subscription is as simple as well. So I'm selecting Paint, click Subscribe, and if I go back, Paint is instantly available, and I can launch it and use it as a user. Now, Excel is configured that it does require an approval. So after, as a user, I clicked Subscribe, it says Subscription Pending, which is a logical step for me to switch over to the admin role. So the admin will email notification. So this portal is integrated with this MTP server. And admin will log in and goes to requests, and we'll see on the top the latest requests for applications, and then can just simply click Approve or Reject. If I click Approve here as an admin, again, user instantly gets Excel. Now, the beauty here is that admin also has its own library, and Chrome, for example, is an application. is configured that it's not visible to users, while the other applications here are enabled in user catalog. Now, the admin can assign any of these applications to users by simply clicking on subscribe to users. Now, here I'm demo administrator, and I will assign Chrome to, well, myself for the demo purposes. If I go back to the user, then Chrome is available instantly. So the admin essentially has a library and can configure these applications as well as assign them to users. Now, for example, here, if I click on Enable Auto Subscription like it's done on Paint, that means that any new user added to this organization will get this application on desktop automatically at the time when the user is added. The other applications will be assigned then to users individually. And then there is users menu here where an admin will see all the users available, and then there is a simple form to fill out and add another user. It integrates with Active Directory. Also import in bulk is possible using CSV file as well. So that's in summary. Really, there are two roles: user and a business admin, and the users can subscribe to applications, and an admin can manage, add, remove users, as well as assign applications and desktops to users and manage the library. Now, let's switch to the engineer role. So that's really the what we call administration portal. In essence, there are three components here. One, engineer can do pretty much everything what users, business users can do. So you see here organizations. So engineer can create new organizations by simply kind of clicking this form. So multiple organizations are possible. Engineer will see all the users in the system and can obviously enable, disable users, promote users to administrator role as well. And then there is a master library, what we call. So this is where all applications and all desktops available in the system are listed. And then from here, they can be made visible in an organization level library. So this is what we call a backend to the application store, what the engineer can do. Now, this second part is environment management. So this is a Citrix farm. Here, in this case, it's we actually have two. One is an app and one is a desktop. But going forward, it's just one farm. And then there is SMTP information. There are some general sort of settings here. For example, you can switch to your existing support system. Just provide the URL here. That's what will appear here under support. And then there is a menu hosts where currently this system, demo system, runs just on one rack server. But you can easily expand this setup by filling out this form. And if that rack server is with a hypervisor on the network, on this network, then by this form, click Create Host, you can add it. And then the portal will see multiple hypervisors and will distribute VMs across those based on capacity utilization. There is also a menu for virtual machines, so it shows existing virtual machines, but there is a way to publish a new virtual machine based on VM template, and I'll switch over to VM template. So this is, for example, Windows Server with Office 2010 template, and I just need to give a name, click Publish, and then new VM will be provisioned in this environment. So that's the second area, sort of environment management or configuration. And then the third is templates, which in essence is image management functionality, where we are linking VHD templates so that are listed here. So So there are multiple VHD templates that are provided, and if you create a sort of new image and install apps, it essentially will become a new VHD, which can be imported here. And so this list of VHD templates can grow. Now, based on VHD template, a VM template will be defined. It has a couple more metadata. So if I take as an example, again, let's say Office 2010, these are the VHDs that are linked to this, and then if I click on networks, then here it shows the network attached. This is the virtual switch, and here it says that it's the DHCP network. So typically just this name needs to be provided. And in VM template, you see also some other metadata here. So that the portal knows for every VM in what role that VM is acting, and accordingly it knows how to manage that VM or use it as part of management VMs group. So now when VM template is defined and points to a certain set of VHDs, we go and create a desktop template or application template. So desktop template, taking this as an example, is based on VM template. And here we're just then selecting the type of desktops. Here it is a hosted shared desktop, but if it's a Windows Server operating system and the right VDI agent is installed, can be a Windows Server sort of private desktop here or server VDI. Obviously, VDI pool desktops or VDI sort of dedicated persistent desktops are possible, as well as other models. Now, when this desktop template is done or application template, the only difference of application template that you would, let's say, if we take example of Notepad, you would need to provide a command line to the application where it is located. You're pointing to the same or other VM template. You're specifying the naming convention for VMs. So when these templates are created as an engineer, you go back to the library and you really just need to click Publish Application and then maybe select that this is a productivity category. Here you just select a template for application. So we had Notepad. If we are going to desktops then and we want to publish a new desktop, then we select obviously one of the templates for the desktops, fill out this form, click Publish, and it will create a machine catalog on the back end automatically and make this template part of this library. Now, when this is in the library, you can just assign it to certain organizations and or remove it from the library of certain organizations. And then when this is an organization, it can be assigned to users. So most of the activities of assigning desktops and applications are done through this portal. There is no need for multiple admins to go to Active Directory or Desktops and Desktop Studio to do these assignments, which certainly simplifies a lot of work. So that's the administration portal functionality. And now I'll go back to the presentation and kind of go through a couple concluding slides. Now, we've done quite a bit of analysis in terms of total cost of ownership. And what we see that with this approach, we have about 25% or more savings in terms of cost over the years. A lot of it is linked to saving on labor, but some of it is also linked to optimal use of licensing, software licensing, as well as the very cost-efficient hyper-converged infrastructure. So I can pretty much say that if you compare apples to apples, you will be extremely competitive against any other offering on the market from the cost perspective. And then in terms of time, it gives you amazing reduction in terms of time needed. Here we were sort of putting 6 weeks as maybe end-to-end time from hardware order to something goes into production in a mid-size environment. Whereas traditionally customers would go through a long cycle of research, architecture, design, and then troubleshooting, things that delay this, and obviously small mistakes may result in additional delays as well, as all of us know. So amazing value prop from that perspective. Now, in terms of partners that we work with, we see pretty big variety of use cases. There are cases where this appliance is used to be deployed in a branch office or in a server room of a smaller company, so maybe not a full data center setup, but a small environment. In such cases, frankly, this appliance can be used and is used to run not only the Citrix desktop virtualization, but all the local applications or small business sort of applications like QuickBooks on the same appliance itself, and the Active Directory is already there. So it pretty much acts as a sort of SMB appliance, not just Citrix desktop virtualization appliance. Then it can go into a customer's data center. So there is a set of partners who are doing either advisory services or are working as VARs, value-added resellers. So they typically would maybe resell hardware, resell licenses. And now a VAR has an option of this turnkey solution that can be deployed on an accelerated and a very cost-efficient manner, and can be scalable and very profitable business as well, versus sort of doing it in a custom manner. So that's when this appliance is deployed into the customer's data center. Now, we also work with hosting providers or service providers. Some of them, in fact, do provide white label services in turn using our solution to other partners. But so one option is when a partner would have their own hardware in a data center, and they can use our appliance model or use maybe their existing infrastructure. And then increasingly we see more partners interested in trying to do this in the cloud. So for example, Azure gains more popularity. Some partners are working on Azure, on Amazon. So those use cases are supported. The portal can be used as well. So that was the last slide, and we're going into the Q&A section. So I will review the questions that were submitted so far, and please send any additional questions now. Just give me a second. There is a question about how to sign up to become a partner. I mean, you can just write to channel at desktop365.com. This is the email that we use. You can also go to desktop365.com website. There is a sign-up form there as well. Now, if this question is a little bit broader, typically we would go through maybe 2 to 4 hours of one-on-one discussions with a partner to give a partner next level of detail, insight into this appliance, share pricing information, and architecture level of details. After this 2 to 4 hours, the partner will be in a position to market and sell it to their customers. And then typically in the first and second deployment, we recommend for a partner to include some of the professional services from Desktop 365 team, and the partner team essentially shadows in the first and the second deployment we're shadowing, and that's how the knowledge transfer happens to the partner team from our team. And then after that, the partner kind of may not need Desktop 365 team involvement on the future implementations. Okay. So any other questions? So here is one. Yeah, please submit additional questions. We have a couple here in the pipeline, but if you have any additional ones, please submit. What is the driver for IOPS performance of this appliance? So, well, it's multiple aspects have been considered in the architecture of the solution to make it extremely performing. So it's alignment sort of between multiple layers. First of all, the whole VHD is divided into multiple diff disks. So what happens is that there is a master image for the base operating system, then we are creating an app disk where the applications are installed that are commonly used. And then on the top of it, we're creating one more diff disk, which is relatively small, 1 to 2 gigabyte, and that's what is a user-specific or VM-specific diff disk. So the amount of storage at the VM level specifically is relatively small, and this allows also to cache the sort of master image where the applications are installed over the operating system. So that's the starting level. And then from the hypervisor to the storage, I already mentioned the performance that data core software-defined storage gives within memory caching for reads and writes. We allocate about maybe 16 gigabyte there. So most frequently read blocks are stored in memory and available instantly. And then writes are cached. So what happens is that 4K blocks are aggregated into larger blocks of 512K and then written to the storage controller. So there is a reduction in IOPS between what goes to the software-defined storage from hypervisor and what goes down to the storage controller. So that reduction is almost of a factor of 100 to 500. And now at the storage controller level, we do certain other optimizations. These are standard available technologies today with flash-backed memory cache and SSD caching as well for larger deployments. So below data core, there is also certain IOPS improvements at the controller level. So all of this together gives essentially performance of a virtual desktop that is better than an SSD laptop, and we have done some tests. You may see some materials and documentation on the website. So it's extremely kind of advanced, really IOPS performance. Okay, additional questions. Yeah, so there is a question about sort of Desktop 365 licensing. So what we're providing essentially a sort of bill of material, and that includes a hardware, it includes a sort of services queue, which is defined and recommended effort behind it. We're providing a sort of Citrix and Microsoft licensing, again, list. So based on number of users, it can be updated. And then there is a Desktop 365 licensing, which is added here. It's we have both options, named user and concurrent user model, as well as subscription user model. Overall, Desktop 365 licensing is less than sort of 10% of the overall end-to-end cost here. It's a relatively small component, and we see sort of 3 to 4 times reduction in overall cost for this sort of fee on the Desktop 365 licensing. Yeah, there is one more question here. Is this VDI in a box with new updates? So if I understand the question correctly, so this is this is a great replacement for VDI in a box. Many of you may be familiar with Cavisa offering that was acquired and became VDI in a box for Citrix and then discontinued. So we actually work with a set of partners who did do deployments of VDI in the box in the past and are looking for an alternative now. So and what they're coming to Citrix, and Citrix, those partners sort of use just our standards and desktop. But then the main reason people went with Cavisa is because customers wanted something simple to manage versus kind of go through the full learning curve and how to manage desktop and understand all the configuration options. So really that's what we provide here. So we provide an administration portal where most of the sort of ongoing tasks are really simplified to managing users, managing subscriptions, maybe adding a couple more VM templates. Most of this is done in the portal, and the customer doesn't need to go through a full learning curve. So this is, yes, positioned as a replacement, but yeah, there is no linkage to the original Cavisa company. It's a separate company offering. Okay. Yeah, I think there is a question here about sort of benefits for partners in leveraging this versus sort of traditional ways of deployment. Well, in essence, I think there is obviously a wide variety of use cases in the industry and different customer situations. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is for customer cases where customer relies on you as a partner to bring sort of industry best practice. And essentially, this is positioned as a best practice kit to deploy Citrix desktop virtualization. If it's a specific workload that is as simple as dropping a couple rack servers in the data center, connecting to the network, and then literally after a few hours of running setup user, it's a working Citrix farm integrated with Active Directory, and you can start using it. The time I was outlining a couple of weeks is really, I see more taken just to maybe educate the customer about certain things and kind of get the needed IP addresses and so on. So it's just normal overhead, but not the effort. So it's really as simple as just dropping something in the data center and making it work. So there are substantial cost and time savings that partners can convert and be more competitive on the market, as well as sort of they can compete, as well as improve profitability, because essentially a lot of effort that goes into it, and many of these projects have overruns in terms of effort, here are pretty much contained and troubleshooted. So this was, I think, the last question at this point of time, and we're getting closer to the end of the hour. So with this, I will wrap up this presentation. We will be happy to connect one-on-one with companies that are interested in this offering and support them in their work with their customers and becoming successful. So please reach out to us either on the website www.desktop365.com, or simply write us an email to channel@desktop365.com, and we'll get in touch. Thank you, and look forward to talking to you.